Okay, so the next texture in the list is magic texture. So after image texture, you will find magic texture. And a magic texture is good for repetitive patterns that you would like to look really nice. So like wallpaper or bump map for fabric, for instance, are things that you can use the magic texture for. It has some special things in, so we can see how it looks right now. If I take the color to the base color, you see this. This is normally what you get. And then you can, of course, change things like depth, scale, and distortion. And most of these are like self-explanatory. So this is the details, as you can see, of how much distortion you want. This is the scale, and this is the amount of distortion. However, if you scale a normal like noise texture or musgrave or so on, you can see that you are scaling it. But when you are scaling a magic texture, you are changing the position of the pattern, and by that you are distorting it in a different way. So if I now scale and you look at this image, you can see that it doesn't look the same when I scale it. It changes pattern all the time when I scale. You can see it gets repetitive, so this pattern will then pop up again later, sooner or later here. So this is the same and this is the same, but between you have this pattern and you have this pattern here. So we are going between different types of patterns. So it's like almost like they are using Fractal or Modulo to change this result here. And it's also so that you can see that it has like two major shapes. So it has a line, so you have this diagonal line here, and it has like circular shapes. So even if I change this here, or if I change the depth up here, you can see it's same base, so to say. It's a line here and it's circular shapes. And that is because the color here is in fact 3 different patterns. So we have one pattern for red, we have another pattern for green, and we have a third pattern for blue. So blue is mostly the lines here, and red is the flat circular, and green pattern are more like shadows and height and so on. And we can see how that looks just by separating the color. So if I press Shift A, go to color, go to converter, separate color here. Then you can see this is the red. And of course we get some of the lines here, but if we combine that with blue, you can see that blue is really the lines. Then red have lines as well, but they are not as pronounced as you have it with the blue. And we have the circles here, but with the green you get the really depth in the lines and the height around the circle, and then some depth in the middle of the center of each circle here. So you can say that this is more the thing that gives everything a depth here. And when you change distortion, then this will change from being like rather soft. You get more and more repetitive patterns here, so it will be over and over again. And now it goes from being those soft shadows into being more like a reflective pattern, so to say. So you can really play with these things, and depending if you're using red channel or the green channel or the blue channel, this will of course affect things differently. But don't just drag this up, because it will not look nice. It will only be too much of distortion, and it will be almost nothing to look at. So play with a small distortion amount between like 0.5 and up to perhaps 3, something like that, because that is all you need in almost every case. If you go up above that, It's just too much repetition. Even if you're using another channel, it doesn't matter what channel you use. So if I use red or green, too much of a distortion, it will not look pretty. Then of course now we use a high level here, so if I just take down the level, you have another matter here. So with depth of 4 you can then increase the distortion, because now with depth of 5 you see almost nothing. So the thumb rule here is a low depth, then you can have a higher distortion. With a high depth, then you can use a lower distortion. So if you want to use this for wallpaper, we normally use it so we combine everything so you get the same pattern in the left and the right top as you get in the bottom, so you get everything mirrored. And that we can easily do by changing the UV, so we get that in the center. So Shift A, input and texture corner, just to show you. And then I used vector math, so Shift A, and I go to converter and then vector math, changed it to subtract 0.5, like that. Put in the UV in the top, copy this one by Shift D, can move it just a bit, change it to multiply, change these to 2, and put the into magic texture like this. And then we also need an absolute between here, so I can copy this one, just pressing Shift D, change it to an absolute, so we have it like that, and then we go down, can go down in scale like this, and we can, I think we can also add, let's see, we do like this, we add a scale here, so we can make it more or less, and we also add a fraction after this, so Shift D, and then we have a fraction. So now we have, yes, now we have a pattern here. I just have to go down with the scale a bit. So now we have a pattern here, and as you can see, it's like repetitive tiles here, and it's now you can start to play with things, so you get exactly the nice looking things that you would like to have in a repetitive way here. So if I just take the scale up like this, now you can see that it's easy to use as a good patterns for tiles or wallpaper and so on, just by playing with the scale and the distortion a bit, and you can get the nicest pattern out of it, totally randomly, but still really nice and very well functional. You can go directly from the color, you can take one of these, put in some math between here, or do a lot of other stuff that really looks amazing, and people will think that you have done something very, very complex, but instead you just put in a few nodes and then use the magic texture. So for everything that is repetitive, as I said, wallpaper, tiles, the bumps on fabric or something like that, then this magic texture can do wonders. So that is a little bit how it works, and just play with it a lot so you find your favorites, how everything should be looking, and then just use it as much as possible to make your room look amazing. Okay, so that was magic textures, and I will just take the next texture in the next chapter. So all I do now is just say bye for now and see you in the next chapter.